Which way does your spiral go? Just reflect on it. Just reflect. Which way does your spiral go? Is this more like a jam up to you? Is this more like a interference? What is the process? Which way does your spiral go? Many different things for, different people. Just reflect on it. We're gonna tap into some things like usual. Hopefully we back up into the supernaturals. We gonna see. But where's your frequency at? As you look at, these list of words, what comes to mind? What do you feel? Where do you resonate? We're just gonna get into some things while we can. So let it build. Man, you ain't doing nothing anyway, so we just gonna let it build. It's always about frequency. It's always about tuning up, tuning down, tuning in, tuning out, however you get down. This piece, we're gonna get to a slight read, and we're gonna see which direction the primary men flow. Let's see. Alright, so we're gonna be tapping into this this little drop right here called the right use of will, and we're just gonna see what it's about. Can't really guarantee too much, and as you should already know, always dodge your own hijack. Alright. So if you want to pull it up, you can go ahead and pull it up. I'll be sharing what I got from this side, so let's get to it. Alright, so here we have the right use of will. Here we're gonna see what it's about. It says that the unconditional love of the spirit is understood by many people on earth at present. There is another energy, though, that is also part of the great divine creation, which has not yet been fully understood: the divine will. It says the will expresses as feelings. Spirit and will are partners in the body and must find their balance in the heart. If there is any disease or aging of the body, spirit and will are at odds in some way. When there is balance, Alright, it just says when there is balance in the heart between the spirit and the will, body manifests internal balances, health, agelessness, and vitality, and the physical level of existence is no longer experienced as cut off from other levels of existence. Everyone on earth today has undermined the will in some way. Undermining of the will is equal to lost unconditional love. Then for anyone who is judging against parts of the self is not truly loving unconditionally. Will in many people is now seeking to find alignment. Many people on earth can learn the balance of spirit and will in their heart and are in fact already moving in this direction. It could be easily judged then that the teaching of right use of will is not essential and that this is just going to happen naturally. However, help with the understanding of this process is actually necessary, and some people want this help so that they can move faster. Others who see little need to speed things up can make the choice to find this alignment later. What may not seem necessary to you now may become relevant at any moment. This teaching is intended to be a guide for those who wish to speed up the process of finding the necessary balance between the spirit and the will and the heart. The information given here may not all be new information to you, but it will outline the steps necessary to heal the disconnection and lack of self-acceptance so that the balance with the spirit can be willingly found. It can also enable you to see where you are on this path and help you go further. It says clearing illness and habits. To begin with, illness can be cleared by learning to listen and accept what body is trying to say to you when you are ill. Understanding the messages without subjugating your body to be performed opinions gives your body a most needed feeling of acceptance in place of the feeling that is you dominating and controlling your body, or that your body is against you and that you must defeat or banish illness as though it is some kind of sabotage to your body. Illness is not sabotage. It is the body's statement that it is unable to continue holding blockage to my loving light and also maintain health. Messages from your body can take many forms. Your body may not want and need many different things. Attuning to and accepting these messages can help you to regain the balance that enables illness to disappear and health to prevail. This statement, however, does not mean that you need to heal everything without whatever help you feel you need, that you must go the entire way with the first illness that appears, or blame yourself if this interaction with your body is more than you feel able to master right away. Unconditional acceptance and love means accepting whatever state of imbalance you have with your body and understanding it as the reflection you need in order to notice and heal your imbalances without judgment and how spiritually evolved you are or not. Be conscientious in doing what you can each time will carry you toward balance. A way to work with healing in this way is to give the disease your full attention by breathing into and bringing your consciousness into the distress rather than blocking it, ignoring it, or masking it with medication. So if you can feel what is going on in this distress, ask your body what it needs to restore balance. You can encourage your body to communicate by letting it know that you have acceptance for its pain. You can apologize to your body by overriding and ignoring it. Becoming aware of beliefs you have been holding about your body and what it needs and releasing them is another helpful part of any shifts you make in the way you have been treating your body. When you receive information from your body, do what is asked and see the results. If complete healing is not reached, you can repeat this process until healing is reached. This practice can evolve your ability to listen to your body and bring it to the healing it needs. When treatment seeks to cure by suppressing symptoms, balance is not truly restored. The practice of suppressing symptoms is not the way the body heals itself. The practice of ignoring how the body feels or taking drugs for pain can often obscure early symptoms that the person is not aware of the problem until it is acute and advanced. These denials can allow the imbalances to produce disease to go unnoticed until the symptoms have had to demand attention by becoming intense. Then healing can take tremendous amount of time, energy, concentration, and dedication, and also money. It is really much easier to pay attention to body and deal with imbalances in the beginning stages than to wait until your body is seriously challenged. If balance can be restored while symptoms are still at subtle levels, disease may not need to appear. Modern science has been spending a lot of time and money searching for the cure for diseases, but has not usually identified the cause as internal spiritual imbalance. Illness can provide opportunities for clearance of more than just physical symptoms. The need of this for this sort of clearance always gives warnings in some way. You can help yourself by paying attention to how you feel about having to interrupt what you have been doing in order to respond to warning signals. Most people, though, have a habit of ignoring such warnings and also of suppressing symptoms until the body is holding so much that the symptoms are only the tip of the iceberg, undermined will. Lack of loving acceptance for parts of the self originates every imbalance that manifests in the body. When these imbalances become more than the body can handle, physical problems arise. This is when pathogens can multiply into illness. Denial creates energy blockage, and blockages create stagnation, which can be hospitable to disease organisms. These blockages are placed where my loving light is not very present or not present at all. Disease organisms have always been present as physical manifestations of denial. To find full healing, you need to find the cause not only in your physical body, but also in your consciousness or lack of it. Symptoms can help you find their cause. If you want to receive and understand their messages in order to find a full healing, symptoms should not be routinely relieved or suppressed. Treatments that only address symptoms do not bring a full healing. However, this does not mean that symptoms should never be treated. Treating symptoms while also seeking the cause is different from suppressing them so that you can ignore them and go on as you were before. When imbalances manifest as physical problems, there are many feelings involved that need exploration. All of these feelings need unconditional acceptance. However, mentalizing feelings by only talking about them is not the way full healing is going to take place. The more you attune to express from will/body in the ways they want and need to express, the more you will be able to clear before illness or unpleasant experiences manifest as an attempt to bring clearing. Even though some diseases indicate drastic imbalance, the idea that certain diseases are fatal has been accepted by many only because the way of treating them has been to deny the message of the body and treat the body like it is something to manipulate. Instead of seeking to restore the balance, this approach has attempted to suppress all symptoms. Then, body is rendered incapable of healing. Body has its own free will to decide if it can heal now or not. No person needs to die from illness if body has another option that is real for it. If you are seriously trying to align, body will not die unless it needs the option of rebirth for full healing. Many people have felt guilty if they have begun to think that they have caused their own disease. It is important to have self-acceptance for whatever form your lessons take and compassion yourself for whatever you are on your path and for whatever you are able to evolve. Love and compassion coming in the place of old misunderstandings can bring healing. No matter how far you are able to progress toward full healing, continuing to seek the cause and working with your problems is a healing path. When there is a balance needed for health, an individual's energy is free to create something other than disease. Health is an offering to spirits who can understand the way to live in the physical plane on earth. It's kind of interesting, right? The physical plane. Which reminds me of these orientation pies, right? So we'll carry a little more, and if need be, maybe we'll come back. It says other abilities of right use of will are based on a foundation of good health, because a body blocked by imbalance cannot express the capabilities inherent in balance. Health can be the permanent state of affairs when spirit and will balance unconditionally in the heart. The right practice or the practice of right use of will may at first, however, bring forward illness, because a suppressed will is bound to have suppressed symptoms which body has had to hold. If imbalance is not rectified, illness is healed only temporarily. The fear with which society has surrounded illness and death is a conditioning in need of strong attention. So many people have come to feel that illness is inevitable and that all must die of something, that the energy field emanated by these deep-seated beliefs have actually been perpetrating itself through the acceptance of it as inevitable. Even though health is the way, it has not been the way for such a very long time on earth that it has appeared as though no one any longer still believes this really is the way. More immediate than regaining health for some people is the need to examine habits that are running the body down. Another way to look at this is to make a choice between living as you are for a short time and living if you are willing to grow and make the changes necessary for good health. Once again, this is a matter of personal choice. All right, so I think it's cool to maybe pause it right there. And seems all right so far. I want to touch on a few things, author made mention of the, energy fields, manipulation of the body, and physical plane. So I just want to go ahead and touch on some things as usual, because I told you, the last time around that we would take a look at it. Let's go. All right, so I wanted to bring you over, to these images, so we can tap into this orientation I've been digging on, and I just have them here, to display examples, right? So we can really dig on perspective. So it says the wrapping of a rotating coil produces the helical magnetic field of a nuclear fusion reactor, right? It creates a strong magnetic field of containment in the center, but not above or below. All right. So this is the copper coil right here. All right. Now keep in mind that this is a conductor of all sort of energy. It conducts energy. Okay. And then keep in this mind the shape. And again, we're digging on orientation. Because there's a lot of talk on, if this is flat, if this is round, and we was digging on the last time in the ether that it's not necessarily about, the duality of the topics, right? It being flat or round. It's about how they push that it is so-called round or sphere as the truth, but they're not explaining on how they get to this concept. They try to twist it off as if they're certain. And that's how these guys get down. They always give you it's like they twist the truth off with a lie. They give you like 80% of the truth and then mix it up with like 20% of the lie. And it's how they do it, and it's how it stays in your mind. It's how it's plugged in, programmed, replicated. That's why you have to be educated, right? So we're gonna dig on it. And again, this is keep in mind that the copper, conducts energy, amplifies, right? Peace. Right? Similar to a battery in a sense. But I'm showing prime examples. You're gonna get a little scientific. This is the supernaturalist. You shouldn't be, tripped out. And it's, all on point because, again, we're dealing with healing. Right? You'll see in a minute. All right? We're just digging on it. Which is why I was asking, which way do you spiral up? Which direction does your spiral go? All right, now keep this in mind. We're gonna come back and touch on it a few times. But keep this image in mind. Okay. Notice what they're trying to say and pay attention to the direction. I busted down on the IG, but I wasn't able to, add the opinion to it as I displayed it. So this is for those that said that they didn't understand. This is for those that said they needed an explanation on what I was digging on. So peace to the real ones, to the tribe. We just building. Keep this in mind. Keep this example in mind, and dig on what this image is. All right, just resonate with it because it's telling you something, and we're gonna get back to it soon. All right. Now, if you remember when we were digging on the one before, right? Watch, we'll go back. Okay, this. Now, when you lay this coil, so-called, on this backside, so-called flat, right? You're able to lay it down like this, and then these casings, these different helical wrappings, right, that go around it, are able to produce a magnetic field that is going to amplify energy. And we're going to dig on some actual examples, but I'm trying to show you how. All right, so when we're digging on it, this is how it would look once it starts to build. Okay, it's the same thing. Now you see the copper coil band sitting on its flat side, right? But when you look at once everything is amplified and how it starts to build this magnetic energy, look at the orb that takes place. Look at this casing that takes place. All right, now keep this in mind. Also notice that there's a so-called whirlpool looking effect here, sort of a portal looking effect here, a vacuum looking effect here. What they would want to refer to as a so-called north and south pole. Pay attention to the imagery and the color of this orb, right? This is all energy, but we're talking about a cranking up. We're talking about a conducting, amplifying and a manipulation of magnetic fields and light. And the copper generates it, right? It charges it up. We're gonna go, continue to dig on it piece. Get to the next one. What does this look like? Water, right? This little spiral here actually takes place in water, right? We're just digging on it. Alright. As a drop, of course, we're just talking about a drop. But we're talking about an amplifying of energy. Right? We're talking about actual healing. We're talking about orientation, pods. Peace. So like I was saying, right? They talk about a core, Earth's core, right? But they don't explain it to you in the proper science because it has a lot to do with you. Again, we're talking about a copper core, copper plate, right? A copper plate. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be in this shape or space. This is just by way of example because a ring is all it would take. All right. Nonetheless, let's just peep it. And as you see, it's the copper ring, right? That begins to amplify and induce this energy. Just like how we've been digging on. All right. Now notice how the copper is wrapped around the metal. Right. Still with me? Peace, peace, peace. We just surfing the wave. So we're gonna continue on. All right. We digging on orientation. My bro would call this flat drop, but I'm just giving my 2 cents. I don't really have a term yet. I'm just on it. But see, as we get into, what we refer to as the firmament, the science becomes a bit clearer. See what I'm saying? And of course people, make fun and they poke holes. I'm not saying that, this bubble is necessarily, the case, but, we're digging on fields and what they want to refer to as spheres, right? Ionospheres, magnetic spheres, and different, spheres. But, we're really just digging on fields in different realms of, right? By amplification, amplifying energy. No different than a plasma bulb. Alright. Science starts to, make a bit more sense. Alright. Because we're just talking about energy. Alright, we're just talking about science. Right? Isn't this called the torus field? Which would make this a toroidal field, right? Toroidal field, right? But let's get back to the science. Talking about like 5,000 something feet of happiness. Right? We're talking about creating that radius from self, right? This is what you're capable of, right? When you're aligned, right? Now notice this is the same shape that we've been digging on, right? But the body is now the so-called vortex, which is low-key soul, right? When you're thinking about how we all got here by what? Our mind, right? It was the woman that brought you here, right? Through your pops, of course. But when we're talking about, this portal, woman is the portal possible to make that happen. Alright, so we're talking about how you get here. Right? How you get here to this magnetic field as a droplet. energy, of magnetic energy. Right? This is how it looks when two are in tune together. Everything's, the way it's supposed to be. Kicking back right now, you just vibing up, you choosing up. With your real ones, this is how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? This is what it looks like. We just really talking about your Torah, right? Taurus fields, toroidal fields, it's the same thing. We're just talking about pure water. Primary mem. Right? We're talking about charging up, spark. So, when you communicate properly what you feel and you line it up with how you think and you project what you feel as what you think in pure water when you're in tune, right? When you're in line, right? That's why we like to refer to being ourselves as natural by law, because naturally there's a law that's governing everything. When you tune yourself up to this natural law of life, of the universe, alright, Ahab about that. You already know who that was, though. Just don't play around. But nonetheless, there's a universal law, though, and this universal law, it governs everything. And so, when you're in the same frequency as this law, as the all, the creator of all that is, you build this energy radius, you can say, this field of energy for yourself. Right, as you can see in this diagram, this is what this means. It permeates and stems out from the crown. All right, the crown. This is the crown. So it pushes out, poof, and it surrounds the body. All right, connecting, as you can see, from the fingers and so on. And it's a form of I mean, it's like your own protection, like real deal. All right. And when you have this, properly formulated, it's real hard for you to get hijacked. But notice how it has the heart highlighted. So you have to be tuned up. You just got to be within yourself. You got to be true to yourself. You cheat yourself, you mistreat yourself. Alright, so this is what you're able to produce out of the body. And that's why I was saying, notice how the body plays the connecting point between the top and the bottom. Right? Intermediary between the so-called north and southern poles. Right? We're just digging on a bio-electromagnetic field, right, within the body. And they say you are the earth, This is what we're digging on. That's why I said to keep this, this copper coil in mind. Alright? So we're really just talking about you. We're just really talking about the copper colored ones. So this is a natural frequency when you're in tune. This is a natural spiral. natural spiral, all right? Which is why I ask, which way do you spiral? Don't get back to that, but it was plugged into your conscious for a reason in the opening, right? So let's continue to surf the wave. Let's dig. All right, here we have the same thing all over again. And this is just overstanding. All right, notice how it's the same shape, it's the same feel. All right, it looks like an apple. Does it not? This looks like an apple. It's the same thing. Right now is a great time to get to know yourself. And we're just digging on magnetic fields. Right? This is what will be considered a so-called crop circle. And this image right here is what happens when you put a magnet to a so-called TV or a screen. Right? Now notice the frequencies of the channeling are the same. All right. We're just talking about so-called crop circles and magnetic fields. And we're showing a relation to the messages thereof. Because this is all just vibration. This is all just frequency. But to those who don't want to accept the natural energy of this earth plane, which is magnetic energy, which is Mama's energy, then we get all these electrical fields to jam you up, to keep you within the static. Alright? So this would be your own magnetic field that you're able to produce. You see how everything's lined up, right? Everything's lit up from the base, right? The root, all the way up to the crown. It's all the same. We just digging the same thing. We just talking energy. Alright, so stay within the flow. We're gonna continue. I know. Put you in the ether bus, and it's looking like we are back. So I don't know. Peace. We shall see. Alright, so here are other images of so-called crop circles. Alright, now dig on these magnetic fields up top and notice how the spiraling out, right? The spiraling activity. This is just activity. Okay? Activity. You want to see another example of activity? Remember I told you to keep this image in mind? Alright? Everything that I do is for a reason. Y'all should know by now. We're talking about activity. You see what's going on? Activity. You see the shapes? It's starting to look a little similar. Alright, this is for everybody on the IG who said they didn't know what I meant. I wasn't able to actually speak on there. I should maybe develop things like that. Again, I'm gonna have to take my time and develop slowly, but we're talking about activity. Right? Magnetic activity. When we get back to what we were referring to, these are magnetic fields, and this is creating a spiral. Now look at these so-called crop circles. All right, and they want to, induce fear, right? They like to induce fear. They like to inject you with fear and say, oh, an alien. And they throw images, negative images of, beings they can't relate to because they're not tapped in. Not all, just some. Those that want to keep you locked down, right? Oh man, surfing the wave. Again, we're just talking about magnetic energy, right? Now, again, I'm throwing out comparisons. I can't verify to say that these so-called crop circles are authentic or are not. So don't get caught up in the wave and start to drown yourself and turning this into a speculation of the subject. This is not what this is. But as we can tap into the so-called crop circles and we can identify what's really going on when we're talking about fields and different realms, right? What scientists refer to as spheres. We're just talking about magnetic energy and the flow thereof. All right. And as you can see, it's the same expression. Negative polarities, positive polarities, conducting spirals. Creates a spin. They call it north and south. You should just call it positive, negative, negative, positive. You know what I'm saying? Get out the mind of a hijack. We're just digging on frequency. We're just talking about orientation pies. Why is this looking like a pie? Why does this look like a pie? We're just handing out orientation pies, right? We're getting you oriented with this physical plane. What does it mean to be, what does it mean to have foundation, to be firm, fixed, and immovable, to be steady? We just digging on it. Hey, Juan. So we're just talking about the same thing, right? A twisted vortex, a spiraling of energy, a spiral. All right, and here we're back to the so-called donut-looking shape. All right, but when you get into different dimensions, especially those who are artistic, right? Those who know how to draw know when you add a line, it adds dimensions. And dimensions are what? A manipulation of the optical illusion of these different patterns. And it gives what we call shape. But you are able to create a 3D effect off a surface that we would take as something to be flat. But the projection projects itself nonetheless due to the optical eye, right? I mean, we're talking about an illusion, a manipulation of patterns. So when I tell you that the sacred geometry is really your science, is really your math, you know what I'm saying? Connects you back to what they want to call the supernatural. All right? They want to kick you to sphere, but they don't want to break down what we just went through. Because then you see your connection to all of this, right? And we know this is not it. You know what I'm saying? But this is what they don't explain. This is what they don't touch on. Right? We've been talking about copper this whole time. been talking about you this whole time. So I don't know, I think I heard the alarm on the oven go off. I think we ready for some orientation pies. I think we ready for some examples. Let's do what we do best. Let's dig with some examples. Peace. So again, let's get it. Which way are you spiraling? Are you in a state of boredom? Are you overwhelmed? Are you organized? Are you productive? Are you angry? Are you doubtful, depressed? Are you learning? Do you feel secure? Do you believe? Are you humiliated? Are you discouraged? Disappointed? Do you feel rejection? Are you soaking in knowledge, in abundance, providing a service, seeking for good? Which way are you spiraling up or down? Which way is your mem flowing? What are you tapped into? We're just talking ascension and descension. Decide to be an either or. It's about where you want to be. It's about where you want to go. This is just a checkpoint. But we're going to go ahead and get to the next one. Peace. Alright, this is just magnetic energy shaping and bending metal at will. Alright, like a magnetic force just doing what it wants to with the metal. Alright, so we're gonna get to the next one. Peace. All right, so you see how the spoon is doing exactly what it looks like it was doing in the Hutchinson's effect video we were just looking at, right? Where the metal, or so-called metal, was just bending at will. Now, if the frequency, the magnetic energy was so strong that it was bending metal, what do you think is going on right here? All right, let's just keep this in mind. Let's stay tapped in, and let's surf this good water.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
See, he's just saying that in another way. It's just energy, right? And manipulation of the energy and thereof. So if you realize on the magnetic side of the energy that you are,
The Oracle will see you now.
you know, if you realize you are the energy, then you're able to bend these things at will, these different elements at will, because at the end of the day, it's all elements, right? And all elements are basically light. And magnetic energy has the capability to bend and shape light. So when we're talking about metals, metals are just elements, and elements, again, is just light. So let's get it right back.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
You see what I'm saying? It's just the light. It's just a connection. So you got to go ahead and manipulate it, turn it into what you want, because it's all coming from you. You're the magnetic energy.
The Oracle will see you now.
All right. So, peace. That was a quick little something. We're going to continue on. Let go.
How much does this thing weigh?
Well, try and pick it up.
Okay.
Which is
Okay. All right.
yeah. Be nice to it.
105 pounds.
105 pounds.
It consists of 4 motors connected up to these spinning magnet arrays. And if you spin these fast enough, it will actually levitate.
That's correct.
Did you hear what he said? Let's get that back. We're only 22 seconds in. Let's get that back.
These fast enough, it will actually levitate. 4 motors connected up to these spinning magnet arrays. And if you spin these fast enough,
Magnet arrays. We're talking about magnetism. Let's go. I want everyone to tap in. Let's juice up.
of 4 motors connected up to these spinning magnet arrays. And if you spin these fast enough, it will actually levitate.
That's correct.
Let's see if it can do it.
Are you ready? Let's fire it up.
It's lifting.
Okay, it's flying now.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely.
Stop. What are we talking about? Are we talking about levitation? You know what I'm saying? You see what's going on? This is what they would refer to as anti-gravity, right? Oh, no. So that would mean that the gravity is only a result of an electrical field stopping magnetism. You see what I'm saying? Hijack 101. Your gravity is electromagnetism. We already got you, Hijack. Let's get it. Let's get this back, man. Let's get this back.
It's lifting.
Okay, it's flying now.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely. Start on the top.
Now it is so easy to just move around. That's amazing.
Give it a push, like it's not.
Now it's so easy to move around. I mean, peep it, right? Now it's so easy to move around. Let's get it.
Okay, it's flying now.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely. Start on the top.
Now it is so easy to just move around. That's amazing.
Give it a push, like it's got some real.
Wow. It could carry some weight, hey?
Yeah.
That is amazing. So how
This is how the ancients would move these big old monolithic structures that they cannot figure out, all right? Because we're talking about magnetic energy. Magnetic energy and the manipulation thereof and the proper use of it can create wonderful feats. This is what we were doing before they came and hijacked us, before the fall of consciousness, right? Before we got ahead of ourselves. You know, so now we had to get put back in line. We had to, get checked, man. I mean, when you really figure out what happened and when you realize the result of such an ancient war that, left Antarctica in such radiation that it is in, that they want to refer to as tundra. Yeah, you know, this ain't no joke, man. Let's peep it. Let's get into it. I'm with you. If you with me, we on the magic ether bus. I got the organite right now up on the neck. Yes, sir. Shout out to my jigger. We just surfing the wave.
How does it work? Well, it's similar to how a magnet falling through a pipe is slowed down. Anytime a conductor experiences a changing magnetic field, electric currents are induced in it, which create a magnetic field to oppose that change.
Stop. Let's get this right back. Let's get this right back. Because in my IG display of this drop, I was saying that basically when we go ahead and envision ourselves, right? We are the copper ones, the copper color ones. Okay, we are the copper ones. So when you actually dig on it and you realize that this is a casing, what energy is inside, what's being harnessed, right? It is this magnetic energy. So in this example, picture yourself as the magnet and that this copper pipe, this metal pipe is your melanin, and how your melanin slows down your magnetic energy in a process that you will refer to as life. All right. But you are in a vehicle now. You are slowed down. You are in a body that has mechanical functionings, physiologic, physiological properties. Surf the wave, catch this real time example. We're dealing with the body at the same time as we're talking about frequency and coming into physicality by being slowed down, which creates fields and electrical properties.
Well, it's similar to how a magnet falling through a pipe is slowed down. Anytime a conductor experiences a changing magnetic field, electric currents are induced in it, which create a magnetic field to oppose that change. And in this case, the spinning magnets induce currents in the copper sheet. They create a magnetic field, which is nearly a mirror image of the spinning magnets, and so they're repelled. If the rotors spin fast enough, this repulsion leads to levitation.
That is awesome. All right, let's set it down again.
Yep.
So it's just going to come gently land.
The induced currents then encounter resistance in the copper, so they dissipate their energy as heat.
Whoa.
Did you hear what he said? Let's get this back, because again, we are the copper ones, and we're just talking about energy, right? We're just talking about energy. I mean, I was just talking about this with my girl, right? And I was just expressing to her how I sweat, but it's because certain blankets that I use traps, the energy, the heat, right? The heat that I'm trying to release is being trapped within the fabric of, the material that I use, whether it be clothes or if it's the fabric that I sleep in, and it traps the energy, and then I wake up in sweats. And he just said that this is the exact functioning. So let's get this back in proper perspective and let's dig on it again. Because again, we're talking about you being the natural copper ones by law and how your body functions. And when you begin to understand the way your body functions, what you are capable of. Let's get it.
It's going to come gently land.
The induced currents then encounter resistance in the copper, so they dissipate their energy as heat.
Whoa.
They dissipate their energy as heat. All right, so heat is just a result of energy dispensation. That means you're dispensing it. You're exhaling. Again, get into the frame of Hawa, the in and the out. We're just talking about the charge, right? We're just talking about the charge. So when you begin to dispense this energy, it creates heat, which is the breath, right? When you're cold, what do? You take your hands, you rub your hands together, right? And you take that breath, that you blow into your hands, right? That hawa, and you create that heat. That heat is the energy dispensed. You are giving off the energy. So when you're around those who aren't of the copper colored tones, right? And then they take your heat as something of like a form of radiation, it disturbs them. They can't tolerate the heat because they can't tolerate the energy, right? Which is why on the spots of the earth where it's most hot, you find those rich in copper colored tones. Let's dig on the science and let's surf the wave within the frequency. You are in the supernaturalist, and it's looking like we back. I'm charged up. Peace to the real ones.
The induced currents then encounter resistance in the copper, so they dissipate their energy as heat.
Whoa. And this copper is pretty hot.
It's gotten warmer. Yeah, I can still keep my hand on it at least for a second or two.
But it is like a hot mug of coffee or something.
Yeah.
I experienced this before with another electromagnetic levitation device. Except with this one, the changing magnetic field was created by an electromagnet in the base, inducing currents in a light aluminum plate, which levitated.
Whoa!
The plate got so hot, you could boil water on it.
Check out how hot this plate is. If you have two north magnets facing each other, they normally just kind of like fall off.
Yeah.
Is there a similar problem here or no?
Not really, no. And the reason is the magnetic fields that are induced by currents in the copper sheet are a mirror image of the applied magnetic field, and the effect is so quick that as it moves, it just kind of follows it around.
Making this device work in practice is harder than it looks. For one thing, the magnetic field of the permanent magnets has to be very strong. Neodymium magnets are strong, but there's a special configuration you can use to make them even stronger.
It's called a Hallbacher.
All right, so I hope you got that example. I hope it charged you up some. We definitely gonna go ahead and skip to my loop to the next one, and let's get it. Peace. Now we got this drop back in the Naturalist. I think it was season 2, and I was touching on this when I first cracked open, the melanin topic, and I was digging on the matrix back then. But I started to realize how much this drop really stands out to me, and how much it really uncovers just this alchemy that we're digging on, right? And all of this stuff is really the ancient teachings that we had as the descendants of what they refer to as Noah. Okay, but these Cushites, these ones of Kim, manipulated that knowledge and took in it during the days of Babylon when Nimrod was out doing his thing. All right, which is why this information is more accredited to those of Cush. But when we're looking at the actual pure water teachings, is really stemming from us, Noah. You know what I'm saying? Shem, because it was passed down to Shem. Shem was the one that, took cover to, his father, not the other way around. And there's, deeper allegorical ties that's, in this, but we're talking about the original ones before, cataclysm, before Diluvian, all right, before the flood. So, we're going to go ahead and revisit this one. And, it's basically connecting back to the Naturalist episode that, hopefully be coming out this week for just pure water, purposes. Keep everybody lifted on the surface, man. No matter what you're going through, we got to magnetize to stay strong. Build up your Torah fields, stay within your Torah, surf the wave. Ahab to the 9 spirals out there on the tribal lands. It feels good to see everyone just tried up again. Ahab to the Hakam, higher mark. You know what I'm saying? It's just magnetic waves, you know what I'm saying? And What a time to be alive to the Shabbat. Peace, peace. Let's get this.
Welcome back to the Skin Physiology and Biochemistry playlist. This is also in the Anatomy and Physiology playlist, and certainly if you're in my Anatomy and Physiology lab, I do require you to watch this video as homework. You're responsible for this material on the exam, okay? And in this video, we're going to talk about a very important molecule for everybody's skin, and that's a molecule which is known as melanin. So in this video, we're focused on the molecule known as melanin. And why do you ask is it?
And I know the real term is carbon. We ain't trying to go back and forth. We're not on the tip of being pairs. We're just surfing the wave for referencing purposes only. So if you hear melanin, that's what we're talking about. You should know what we're talking about. Let's not turn this into a back and forth in the comment section. And this is coming from me, so it needs no edification. Peace, peace.
So important that I have you learn it. Well, melanin is probably the primary way that your skin protects the DNA in the underlying tissues. One of the things that might not be apparent to you is that DNA can mutate. Okay? And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you a mechanism of how it would do it. The following thing I'm about to show you is not going to be on the exam. Okay, we don't have a prerequisite of organic chemistry for this class, so I can't ask it, but it's just for your information, and hopefully you'll be able to follow it just a little bit. Okay, so I've switched to paintbrush now. Basically what I'm illustrating here, okay, these two molecules right here, these are thymines that would be present in your DNA. Okay, so recall that thymine was a pyrimidine, a nitrogenous base that's located in your DNA. Okay, now what can end up happening is, let's say I expose thymines to light, which is typically abbreviated as HV. So you expose these thymines to light, a very dangerous reaction could potentially occur. And
wait, why would light cause a almost dangerous reaction to occur to DNA? All right, why would this happen to DNA? Let's figure this out. Let's get to this again, because he said melanin protects DNA from mutation. But if light mutates DNA, what's going on? All right. And again, we're talking about this copper tone frequency. All right. We're just talking about you, the natural ones. Surf the wave, peep the scene.
Can't ask it, but it's just for your information, and hopefully you'll be able to follow it just a little bit. Okay, so I've switched to paintbrush now. Basically what I'm illustrating here, okay, these two molecules right here, these are thymines that would be present in your DNA. Okay, so recall that thymine was a pyrimidine, a nitrogenous base that's located in your DNA. Okay, now what can end up happening is, let's say I expose thymines to light, which is typically abbreviated as HV. So you expose these thymines to light, a very dangerous reaction could potentially occur. And what ends up happening is this double bond right here can split. One of these electrons ends up on this carbon, the other electron ends up on this carbon. And you can sort of see it right here in this.
And again, we're going to, for sake of argumentative purposes, we're going to, break down the fact that mutation is natural. All mutation is natural, but what we're talking about is a degeneration of DNA. So there's one thing for DNA to mutate, and there's another thing for DNA to degenerate. And this right here is a case of degeneration, DNA degeneration, all right? This is not a mutation. He's going to say mutation so that it sounds natural. But if it were natural, you would have melanin to stop such a degeneration within the DNA. But the fact that, it is not the case, the fact that that is not the case shows that this is not a natural mutation. This is more a degeneration by design. All right? By design.
Picture right here. The same thing can happen to this particular thymine. One of these electrons can end up on this carbon, the other electron can end up on this carbon. So this particular type of bond cleavage is called a homolytic bond cleavage. These are very dangerous in biochemistry because they can cause mutations, and this is Thymines are particularly susceptible to this when you expose them to ultraviolet light. Okay, so what can
Ultraviolet light. I mean, we talking about what? Gamma rays of the such? Again, you know what I'm saying? Peace to the real one, fresh. Because we about to really tap into it as he's already been tapping into it. We about to really light up, especially as we're digging into biochemistry, bioelectricity. We're talking about illnesses and we're talking about healing. Healing how? By recognizing the magnetic properties within your copper colored conductors. Peace, peace, Hawa, Hawa.
can end up happening then is you have these two thymines now with radical electrons, and so now what can happen is they can couple. So these radical electrons can couple like this one can couple with this, and so what you end up getting is a linkage, a covalent linkage between two thymine molecules in your DNA. And this particular type of molecule has a special name because it does happen quite a bit. It's called a cyclobutane thymine dimer. This is a mutation. Okay, now you do have enzymes to fix this, but wouldn't it be nice if you could prevent this from even happening in the first place? And to prevent this from happening in the first place, that's what ultimately leads us to melanin. So now I've switched back to PowerPoint. And what melanin essentially is it's a protection against UV light from the sun. Okay, so UV light comes from the sun, and what's important to realize about UV light is it's actually quite an energetic form of light. And it's energetic enough to pierce through the cells of your skin and hit underlying tissue thymines. And
so the natural energy of the sun, he's not saying words like heat and fire. He's saying the natural energy that is produced from the sun, the cosmic energy that's produced from the sun has the capability of piercing the skin of those without melanin and causing an unnatural degeneration of DNA. Heat the scene of what's going on. This is what I was telling you when I was saying that the copper conducts energy. If it conducts energy, what is the energy encased inside of you as the copper colored one? You have been sent here to learn who you are within the time presented. There's really no time, but as long as you're not expired. This is a reflection of self. This is the mystery school. You were born initiated, naturally by law, surfed away.
other DNA bases and so forth, and cause mutations like this. So it's energetic enough to do that. Okay? So it would be nice if you could stop the UV light before it gets to those underlying tissues. And it turns out that molecules like melanin actually help prevent the UV light from reaching those molecules. Okay? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a picture of part of a melanin polymer. Melanin is basically a polymer of these repeating units that we're going to talk about in the next video. The units basically consist of two molecules. One of them is called dihydroxyindole. The other is called dihydroxyindole carboxylic acid. Okay. In fact, usually the way they're abbreviated is they're abbreviated as DHI, that's for dihydroxyindole, and the other one is DHICA, that's for dihydroxyindole carboxylic acid. And these are the main two monomers that make up a melanin polymer. And the melanin itself is what protects the underlying DNA. Okay? And what we're going to do right now is kind of go over the mechanism as to how that occurs. Okay? Now, I'll tell you what I want you to know. There's some extraneous information that's really just for your education, but I'm going to tell you what you need to know. What you need to know is you need to know that, number one, melanin protects the underlying tissue's DNA from UV light. Okay? Because if the underlying DNA absorbed light, then this type of reaction that I showed you in Paintbrush might occur, and mutation can lead to things like cancer, So
Okay, so once again, that's not a mutation. Okay, that is a degeneration. That is an exposure to radiation. That means you weren't able to convert that energy into heat. We're going to see in the breakdown, right? But this is a natural source of cosmic energy that is being pushed out from the sun. So once again, how is this a mutation? How is the science of this natural when it is happening by way of energy, not heat? All right, energy, aka light, aka energy. So he's saying that melanin stops this from happening entirely. So you were giving a gift that is far beyond your worth that you can even imagine. What was the bro saying? Like, your melanin is worth more than gold, my naga, right now. Which is so evident for you to charge up, which is so evident for you to know who you are. If they want to lock you down, they want to, push you and force you amongst your real ones, then tribe up. Let's center around together right now and tribe up, and let's learn these functions of the so-called body. And let's learn what it is capable of. This magnetic force that we call spirit, energy, the soul, the being within, all right, is in a conductor and it's slowed down, which is what we refer to as time or age. Surfed away.
So cancer is caused by mutation, and certainly cancer could be lethal, so you'd like to protect the DNA. Okay, so here's a key thing. Free radicals in DNA are extremely dangerous because this leads to mutation, cancer, and death. And that's certainly something that we'd like to avoid. So the way that your body gets around it is it has these cells called melanocytes. So this particular
Now, real quick, he said free radicals, right? Free radicals are the excited stages of energy, all right? Of energy. Real quick, peace. I want to bring up an example. We're going to get to it. All right, so once again, we have the free radicals, all right? We have the free radicals. Free radicals are excited states of energy, which causes a spiral. Right, this spiraling out is really just the magnetic energy being encased inside of a conductor. Right, what conductor would that be? The ether. What is the ether? What some refer to as space. All right, when you get in this orientation pi, everything is being preserved or being produced from the ether. It's an ooze. That ooze is a form of 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 cosmic I mean, I can't even put an English word on it. All right, that is what's happening, this excited state. So that's what he's referring to when we get back to it. So let's go ahead and get back to it.
could be lethal, so you'd like to protect the DNA. Okay, so here's a key thing. Free radicals in DNA are extremely dangerous because this leads to mutation, cancer, and death. And that's certainly something that we'd like to avoid. So the way that your body gets around it is it has these cells called melanocytes. So this particular cell right here, this is called a melanocyte. Okay? And a melanocyte is located in your skin, and it's basically a cell that's specialized for biosynthesizing melanin. Okay? And we'll see how it works in just a few minutes. Okay, but it's specifically made to help protect your underlying DNA from UV light. So one thing I want to go into really quickly is I mentioned earlier that UV light is very energetic. Okay, so this UV light is extremely high in energy, so high energy. Now, what ends up happening is when the light strikes it and gives the energy to the thymines, it causes the electrons to go into a higher energy state. Okay, this higher energy state is called the excited state. Okay, So when electrons go into a higher energy state, we call that the excited state, and that occurs when light strikes it. Okay? So what happens is when the electrons go into the excited state, it makes the DNA very reactive and susceptible to forming things like this. Okay? But what ends up happening in the case of melanin is light instead is stopped by the melanin. So when light is absorbed by the melanin, electrons within the melanin increase in energy and go into an excited state. You could sort of think of melanin as like the Border Patrol. Okay, so the Border Patrol, or melanin, wants...
He said the melanin is the border patrol. I and it's stopping the hijack. So you were born hijack free, my nigga. But it's a job to stay that way. It's a daily fight to stay that way. All right? Which is why you are natural by law, but you must also keep it. You know, these people get afraid of such words because they think that it stems from a creature that hasn't been here before them. But when we overlook that and when we take back, you know, the frequency that is you, the sound that is you, and you know, resonate with Hawa and you tune in with the creator, you know what I'm saying, as the natural one, as the indigenous aboriginal, as the Untalkton, you know what I'm saying, as the so-called native, as the original Amaru Khan, you know, as the indigenous Israelite, we talking about you. We talking about you. All right. And this excited state, you know, is just the energy reflecting off the electrons, what they call free radical. That free radical has no control and it forms something that they can't sustain. All right. So this is why it's necessary to know who you are, to understand, understand who you are. You know, you got to take these things as they come, embrace it, process it, and then control it, bend it at will. Because there is no spoon.
Is absorbed by the melanin, electrons within the melanin increase in energy and go into an excited state. You could sort of think of melanin as like the Border Patrol. Okay, so the Border Patrol, or melanin, wants to keep the UV light out. UV light is bad. It can mutate DNA, so you'd like to keep it outside. So what ends up...
Why would UV light or UV light from the sun mutate DNA? You know what I'm saying? They got to be able to, I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Like, let's really put two and two together. And again, we were talking about crop circles, right? We were talking about crop circles. What beings have the knowledge of such to understand that, you know, those of the sun can't be mutated, right? Those who can absorb the light cannot be mutated because the melanin protects the mutation, so you cannot be mutated from an exterior force. So what's going on? Who do your scripts tell you that, you know, conduct such activities? What is going on? I told you about these parasites, did I not? Now look at where we at. Y'all gonna get this message. Y'all gonna get this word.
What's happening is the melanin will absorb the light. It'll take the hit instead of the DNA. So it's like giving itself up. So the melanin will absorb the light instead of the DNA. In fact, it's very efficient at it. In fact, a known number is that out of a percentage of UV light that's absorbed by the melanin is about 99.9%. So it's very efficient. About 99.9% of the UV light is actually absorbed by the melanin. Only 0.
So that means if there's information coming from the light, it is absorbed completely, and the melanin takes in all the information, converts it into energy as heat, and you process all that information without being mutated or corrupted or degenerated by the UV radiation. You see what's going on? Radiation does not affect you because you were encased with melanin. You are the copper colored naturals by law. This is a functioning. This is how you step through and interact in and out the matrix. Get through the loophole. And stop the circle 8.
0.1% actually gets through. So it's very efficient at stopping the UV light. And this is a key point right here. Right here. When the light is absorbed by the melanin, the electrons within the melanin increase in energy and go into an excited state instead of the DNA. Okay? So whenever light strikes something, electrons go into an excited state. But wouldn't it be nice if that happened to the melanin instead of your DNA? Okay? Now what's going to happen, and this is something I don't require you to know for the test, is that there's a specific quantum mechanical process that happens called internal conversion. Okay? You're welcome to name this as internal conversion.
Now, those who seen the Instagram post and who fully understood know exactly what time it is. They know exactly where we at. So we can all come together in this understanding and just show, our excitement and appreciation of such information. Because what he's about to explain was the example that we were digging on in the video before. We're going to go ahead and touch on it. But first, let's get the breakdown. Peace, peace.
But essentially what this means is that when light strikes the melanin molecule itself and the electrons go up in energy, instead of fluorescing, what ends up happening is a process called internal conversion occurs. And what ends up happening is the energy is released as heat. Okay?
What? Did you hear what he said? The energy is released as heat. That is the second time we heard that, right? Dealing with what? Melanin, or what was referred to as copper magnetism, right? So again, copper conductor, right? So let's get that back. Let's get that back, and let's pay attention to the key details and clues on what's being said. Let's go.
But essentially what this means is that when light strikes the melanin molecule itself and the electrons go up in energy, instead of fluorescing, what ends up happening is a process called internal conversion occurs. And what ends up happening is the energy is released as heat. Okay? So
the energy is released as heat. So this is a form of internal conversion, converting energy internally. So you keep that energy that's given to you from the sun and you release it as heat. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to catch back up with this other example. Peace to the real ones.
Currents then encounter resistance in the copper, so they dissipate their energy as heat.
Whoa. This copper is pretty hot. Yep.
So it's just going to come gently land.
The induced currents then encounter resistance in the copper, so they dissipate their energy as heat.
Yep. So it's just going to come
Heat. They create a magnetic field, which is nearly a mirror image of the spinning magnets, and so they're repelled. If the rotors spin fast,
the magnetic fields are an example of how your energy within this copper conductor called skin or melanin works. So when you learn how to create and flow the energy, your magnetic energy within your spirit, your ruach, right? Your magnetic soul, when you learn how to channel that frequency and get it surfing, this is what we're capable of in the conductor. Pete, let's go.
Fast enough, this repulsion leads to levitation.
That is awesome.
All right, let's set it down again.
Yep.
So it's just going to come gently land.
The induced currents then encounter resistance in the copper, so they dissipate their energy as heat.
Whoa.
As heat. as heat, my people. We're gonna get it back one more time, just for those in the back. All right, just for those in the back, and we're gonna ride on with the presentation.
So it's just going to come gently land.
The induced currents then encounter resistance in the copper, so they dissipate their energy as heat.
Whoa. And this copper is pretty hot.
It's gotten warmer. Yeah, I can still keep my hand on it at least for a second or two.
But it is like a hot mug of coffee or something.
Yeah.
Like a hot mug of coffee. What does coffee look like? You see? Are you peeping the analogies? Are you peeping the wordplay? Let's continue on with the presentation. What a time to be alive, Shabbatah. You should know that the supernaturalists had to come through on the magic ether bus to get it popping during your little quarantine. Peace, peace.
Occurs. And what ends up happening is the energy is released as heat. Okay? So the energy from UV light is dissipated as heat. Okay? So heat is basically going to be harmless to us. Okay, at least the amount that's produced by the melanin. Whereas if instead the melanin fluoresced or it gave up a photon, it would cause more damage. So the genius in the design of melanin is instead of doing something like fluorescence or instead of doing something like photon emission or anything like that, there's a radiationless transfer of energy that's released as heat. Okay?
A radiationless transference of energy release called heat. Yo, he said the genius design behind melanin. He's talking about, oh, wow. I mean, you got to understand what's really happening. Because if that's the case, then no wonder why the creation of such people was a mistake. And that's exactly what we're dealing with. But this is not about that. This is about the appreciation of who you are. That is all.
So let's do a quick recap of this slide. It's very important. Okay, the purpose of melanin is to protect the underlying DNA. Stop the UV light before it gets to underlying tissues. So light is going to strike the melanin molecule, okay? And the electrons in the melanin molecule will go up in energy, okay? The electrons within the melanin will go up in energy. In fact, it's this process right here. So this process of absorption, this is absorption of the photon of light, of UV light.
And we have a natural rest day within the body, along with this internal conversion, internal and external conversion of energy. We also have this vibrational relaxation, which is our natural Shabbat. The body has to naturally go through this vibrational relaxation. That is the Shabbat, all right? This vibrational relaxation produces. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Peace, peace.
Light, UV. So what ends up happening is the electrons go up in energy, right? They go up to this higher excited state. So this right here, this represents the excited state for the electrons. But instead of doing fluorescence, they simply undergo a process called internal conversion. Okay, they do internal conversion and then a little bit of vibrational relaxation to get back down to the ground state.
Wow, to get back to the ground state. So you have to go through your Shabbat, your rest day, right? You have to take some time to wind down to get back to the ground, which is what? The magnetic plane. We're talking about the earth plane. We're talking about our reality. We're talking about what? The dirt from which you come, right? The Adam, the Atom. We're talking about your mama. We're talking about your Faja. We're talking about Hawa. All right, your vibrational relaxation. We're talking about your Shabbat. And we got this in season 2 on the naturalists, which is why we're now in the supernaturalists. Because we touched on this, right? Not to skip over and say that it went over anyone's heads. This is just a wonderful time to reflect, to sit back and say, wow. Sometimes the second time around is like, bang. It stands out that much more. And during these times, Why not learn? Let's use this time to break out of this electrical field. Let's get it back, man. That was a joy to the ears, a treat to the ears. Peace, peace.
Higher excited state. So this right here, this represents the excited state for the electrons. But instead of doing fluorescence, they simply undergo a process called internal conversion. Okay, they do internal conversion and then a little bit of vibrational relaxation to get back down to the ground state. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. The photon is absorbed by the melanin, electrons go into an excited state, and then internal conversion occurs, whereby which the electron relaxes back down to the ground state. Okay, and
Relaxes, takes the time off, right? Gives a chance for the body to what? Recharge. This is a natural law within the body. But y'all think everything is so religious and spookified because someone gave you the truth and put a twist at the end of it. You know what I'm saying? We can all build as an unstoppable force if we stop poking holes, stop being so emotional, and we just pay attention to which way we spiral. If you're a negative spiral, then know that your realm is negativity. All right, but don't come over into a positive realm and want to poke your negative nose into some positivity. Be a G and have some pride in what your negative energy is and stay in your negative energy. That don't mean that what you're pushing out as negativity can't be seen or can't a lesson be taken from your negativity. It just means don't impose your negativity where it doesn't belong if that's what you do. And that's on all sides of the spectrum. Everybody can build. You know what I'm saying? But when you poke holes and make fun of things you don't understand, it becomes a bit redundant. And people not gonna like this, and that's cool. Because we're talking about how the creator works through you. I know my channel can be a bit speculative, to those who actually do not surf the wave and do the research as I present it. But if you follow the steps that I pick or that I kick out there, you will understand that this is really stemming from information that can be seen outside of text, but yet it stems from a scriptural standpoint. Peace, peace to the real ones.
basically the idea behind internal conversion that's really important is no photon gets released. So we absorb the photon, absorb the energy, but we don't release a photon. We simply dissipate the energy as heat. Okay, something that's virtually harmless. That is something that is incredibly important to understand. So basically what I would ask you on the test is I'd ask you how melanin functions. And your answer would basically be it protects the DNA from ultraviolet light from the sun by acting as the border patrol. Instead of doing this to the DNA, the light strikes the melanin, causing melanin's electrons to go up in energy, and then internal conversion occurs by which the energy from the photon absorbed gets dissipated as heat. Okay? And that is melanin's mechanism of action. Okay? So hopefully that made a little bit of sense.
That is melanin's function of action. And if you remember from Hawa, the breath, how we got that breakdown, we were saying that Hawa is all about action. All right, and we're getting that action. So peace for this breakdown. We're gonna continue on with what we got lined up for the Shabbat. And Aha, I'm gonna go ahead and list the Cash App down below for those that really want to go ahead and support. A lot of people have been asking and wondering how, you know what I'm saying? And I never really thought it was necessary, but I mean, why not? You know what I'm saying? For those that appreciate the effort and, the info that we do over here for you, especially for our real ones and, for our Drake Cons that are on the wall, this is just a quick little plug in. Like I said, I owe the tribe some orientation pies and whoever want to slice, You know, shout out to Yosef the Real, because he said he was first in line. He said he was first in line, and we just digging on it. You know what I mean? We just getting that superior mem from the ground on your Shabbat. So peace. So again, we're gonna get the example. All right. Now, what we're looking at is a copper pipe, and we're going to watch the way a magnet flows through this copper pipe. Now, again, take this as the toroidal field, right, that we were talking about from the beginning. I started us out in the images with this shape. Okay. Now, this would be the Earth. If you go ahead and amplify the energy with, imaginatively amplify the energy, you get your magnetic sphere and, whatever the case is, and you get the manipulated frequencies to give us an orb looking, look. Watch how the magnet flows. Okay. This is also a representation of the body. Since the body is of the earth plane, this is also a representation of the body. So also keep in mind that your spirit, your so-called soul, the force, the energy, the life force, Hawa's breath that animates the body is the magnet. And when the magnet is placed into this conducting or this copper conductor or an inductor, watch what happens to the frequency and the action of the magnet, aka your spirit. This is the earth plane, physical 3D realm, and you are coming from 5D or whatever dimension into 3D realm. Let's watch what happens in this example. This is what it's for. Peace. So as you see, as the magnet goes down the copper pipe, it is slowed down. The frequencies of the magnetic energy has slowed down. This is exactly what is happening to your spirit or your magnetic source of energy encased in the body. It is slowed down. For what purpose, you may ask? So that you can learn yourself, so you can remember yourself, so you can get to know this energy as is and act it out and become familiar with it and function and be mobile. And so that way, when you check out, you can now take this energy and express it as energy. It is all energy. You are the excited free radical. You are the spark. You are the zoom. You come to take some notes and you come to check out. Peace. All right. So that was pretty much the example on that. And I hope you was able to surf the wave on that example. We're gonna carry on with the last piece. Peace. So, as the original con, right? They came and they found you. And they referred to you as the copper color races. Alright, the originals, the aboriginals, those native to the Americas. Right? Copper color ones. So we seen and we were watching what copper does and what its properties and capabilities are. We we were able to talk about internal conversion. Right? Internal conversion is a radioactive decay process wherein an excited nucleus interacts electromagnetically with one of the orbital electrons of the atom. This causes the electron to be ejected from the atom. Thus, in internal conversion process, a high energy electron is emitted from the radioactive atom, but not from the nucleus. For this reason, the high speed electrons resulting from internal conversions are not called beta particles, since the latter come from beta decay, where they are newly created in the nuclear decay process. Internal conversion is possible whenever gamma decay is possible, except in the case where the atom is fully ionized. During the internal conversion, the atomic number does not change, and thus, as is the case with gamma decay, no transmutation of one element to another takes place. Since an electron is lost from the atom, a hole appears in an electron shell, which is subsequently filled by other electrons that descend to that empty lower energy level, and in the process emit characteristics, X-rays, or angular electrons, or both. And this is what I was saying with the functioning of a soul entering Earth. Alright? Because you come down to the 3D realm from the spiritual realm, which is a lower energy level. Alright, so when we was getting these examples, no, not so much this one, because that got the hijack one, but we'll get it for y'all like this. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is the vortex, the opening. See the opening sprouting right out from what? The crown. Crown being your what? Your head. Alright? It's just emission. Internal convergence. This is energy being dissipated as what? Heat. Which is how it becomes an electrical field. Alright? This is a natural process by law of the body. Whatever that's within can be pushed out. Alright? I mean, when we were digging on the activities, it kind of looked a little UFO-ish. Way this stuff works, magnetism. So it's all in correlation. We're only just talking about you. And after you get your internal conversion on, you do what? You have your vibrational relaxation. Yeah. So we're just talking about emission of energy. All right, we're just talking about pushing it out. All right. So now that we're here, my last few drops should make even much more sense than they did before. So now we got another piece of the puzzle. Now we're just talking about the tree, the root. This is our new year. And how crazy that, to start your new year off, they hit you with a virus. They know and understand you are the copper color races. Oh, nah, you think this isn't by design? You don't think this is just happening? You know? So when we ask, what's your vibration? What direction are you in? You have any expectation? Any optimism? Are you calm? Are you at peace and pleased with yourself? Or are you a pessimist? Are you insecure, full of grief, judgment, jealousy, and frustration, revenge, and blame? Like I said, it's looking like we are back. So yeah, man. Peace to the real ones. And we hope this was informative on your rest day. So if that book drop that we got in the beginning was pretty cool, let me know. We definitely, continue it, keep it going. Because as you can hear, the orientation pods is ready. Everything is right on time. So that's just how we do things. So peace to the Shabbat tribe. We out here, man. We out here. Keeping calm and staying out the way. So y'all, keep it true. 432. Surf the wave. I know where to find me. Until next time. Looking like we back. We'll be getting at you real soon. Peace.